Hey y'all, welcome to the channel. Today we're checking out British Schools Explained.
Hi, I'm Siobhan Thompson and this is
Hi.
Anglophenia. Now, many of the most beloved stories from the UK are set in schools, all the way from Tom Brown's School Days to Harry Potter and the History Boys. But the British school system is remarkably different from that in the US, so much so that it's often the first thing that Americans ask me to explain to them. So, here is the Cliff's Notes version of how the British school system works, but study up because there's going to be an exam at the end of the video.
What do you mean? How is it different? We have a preschool. When do Americans start school? Like 5 years old? 6 years old? 4 years old? I don't know. How could it be that different? What are y'all doing?
Study up because there's going to be an exam at the end of the video.
I'm not studying anything.
Public schools and state schools. What Americans call private schools are called public schools in the UK, and what you call public schools, we call state schools. There are also some private schools that don't call themselves public schools, they call themselves private or independent schools, but most of the ones that Americans are thinking about, you know, where people live in a mansion and wear a very silly uniform, are called public schools. Got it? Most state schools these days are comprehensives, meaning that they accept students of every academic ability, but there was a system that's still in place in some areas of secondary modern and grammar schools. There, kids take a test at 11.
This is too fast. So, public schools are private school. Wait. Private schools are public schools, and public schools are state schools. Private schools are public schools, and public schools are state schools. Y'all, what? Okay, let's move on from here.
Most state schools these days are comprehensives, meaning that they accept students of every academic ability, but there was a system that's still in place in some areas of secondary modern and grammar schools. There, kids take a test at 11 to see what type of school they'll go to, the grammar schools being more academic and the secondary moderns more vocational.
Okay. No, that makes sense. Okay, so yeah, at age 11, you figure out who's going to be a plumber and who's going to be a doctor. Right, okay. We don't have anything like that in America. We get to choose ourselves. I mean, sort of. You do have to apply to get into certain schools that teach a thing, like medical school. You have to apply, and you don't get in unless you have great grades. Or money. Okay, in America at age 11, we're still in like 5th grade. Not thinking about what we're going to do as a profession. Age 11, you start that. Based on the kid's intelligence. See, that's kind of brilliant. It actually makes a lot of sense. But if America tried to do that, there'd be a lot of angry parents. Parents who are doctors and lawyers, and they want their kids to be a doctor or a lawyer, but their kid's kind of dumb. Okay.
Church schools. There's no separation of church and state in the UK, so many schools, both state and public, are church schools.
None at all? I just reacted to a video that I think came out today about weird UK political traditions, and it said that for a representative to get a seat in Parliament for the debates of that day, they have to go to early morning prayer services. In England, there is a constitutionally established state religion, but other faiths are tolerated. The British monarch is the supreme governor of the Church of England, and 26 bishops sit in the upper house of government, the House of Lords. Seems bizarre. They're tolerated. What if the king suddenly said that they're not tolerated? Can he do that? That would start a war. Another war. Okay, church schools. Weird. We have that too. They're called private schools, and they're just run by a church, or they're at a church, and they're taught by nuns and priests. I went to a church school when I was a little kid. For my preschool and first grade, I went to a private Jewish school, even though I'm not Jewish. Next few grades, I went to a private Episcopalian school. I'm not Episcopalian. Actually, yeah, we have church schools. I went to a couple. I'm getting, okay, wait, tell me more about church schools. What's up?
There's no separation of church and state in the UK, so many schools, both state and public, are church schools. Oddly, this doesn't translate into later church attendance, which is much lower in the UK than in the US. Sort of like how most people don't use algebra after the age of 18, I guess.
So people who go to church schools are less likely to go to church when they're older. Interesting. I went to a couple church schools and I don't go to church regularly. Weddings and funerals, that's why I go to church. My spirituality is in here. I have a personal relationship with the source. I don't need a priest. to dingle my berries. Moving on. Church schools.
Translate into later church attendance, which is much lower in the UK than in the US. Sort of like how most people don't use algebra after the age of 18, I guess.
The only purpose for algebra is to stretch your brain. It's not useful, kids. Don't pay too much attention to it. Just get those grades and a scholarship to a church school.
Uniforms. Pretty much all schools have some kind of uniform, ranging from a school jumper all the way up to the white tie and tails that they wear at Eton. The idea behind it is to create a sense of identity and school pride. See? Still fits.
I've never had to wear a uniform for school, and I'm so glad I didn't. I mean, it would take out the whole decision-making process of what to wear, which I think is good. I think some schools in the United States do it because behavioral issues arise around clothes, particularly shoes, sneakers. It's like a competition. Who has the best sneakers? And then people steal sneakers, and then people get in fights over sneakers.
Prefects. In British schools, older students can be chosen to be prefects. Being a prefect sounds super cool, but in reality it mostly entails policing the lunch line and stopping the younger kids from hitting each other. You do get a cool badge though, so that's something.
No.
Most schools also have a head boy and a head girl who attend school council meetings and give a speech at prize giving at the end of the year. Oh, prize giving is the closest thing that we have to a graduation ceremony.
I don't think I'd want to be a prefect. Students shouldn't be policing students. That's just asking for trouble. Prefect. In some schools, a senior student authorized to enforce discipline. That's a bad idea. No. Yeah, this is a bad idea. We have that in America too. Sometimes like a hall monitor and it, you know, kids who like to do that grow up to be cops who just want power. They just want to boss people around and tell people what to do. They don't really have leadership skills. They don't have empathy for the people that they're bossing around. They just like bossing. Prefects suck. Don't be a prefect, kids. Make there be a shortage of prefects in the UK. You don't need them. That should be an adult. The adults at your school are using child labor to discipline other students. That's bad. Child labor laws should overtake all of the prefects, put them in juvenile justice systems, slit their throats, and get them out of here. That's how I feel about prefects.
Oh, prize giving is the closest thing that we have to a graduation ceremony.
Wait, you don't have graduation ceremony? Is that a good thing? Graduation in my high school was really fun. I didn't go to the college one because it just seemed so boring. I heard it was like hours long and you gotta wait and wait and wait and wait and wait. So I didn't go to mine. You have to rent a cap and gown? Nah.
Exams. National exams are a huge part of the British school experience. It's all very simple. You take GCSEs at 16 and then A-levels at 18, which are kind of like AP exams, but different. Also, in Scotland, they study for Highers instead of A-levels, and GCSEs used to be called O-levels. Also, AS levels happen in the middle of A-levels. Look, it's just... This is the most complicated bit, I promise.
Yeah, that's kind of confusing, mostly because of the naming of the exams.
Exams.
We had a lot of these too. We had the SAT, the ACT, the CSAT, bunch of these when I was in school. But now, apparently, some of those tests have been declared racist or, classist or, not cool. During the pandemic, I think, it was a logistical nightmare to get kids tested for those things. So colleges stopped requiring them. But I think recently they just reinstated them because they realized the students are dumb.
Revision. This is just what we call studying for exams. It's not a biggie, just a lot of people seemed confused about it. Juniors and...
Why don't you just call it studying? Revision. Sounds like you gotta relearn everything. I don't like that.
Juniors and seniors. Instead of the American system of elementary school, middle school, and so on, most British schools are divided into juniors and seniors. Junior school, also called primary school, is for 4 to 11-year-olds, and senior school is for 11 to 18-year-olds.
Oh.
At some public schools, they divide it up a little differently. They have pre-prep from 4 to 7, prep from 7 to 13, and then senior from 13 to 18.
This makes sense. So juniors is like grade whatever up until high school, and then seniors is high school. That makes sense. Okay.
Sixth form. The last 2 years of school is called the sixth form, divided into the lower sixth and upper sixth. The name is a hangover from a previous, more complicated system of naming classes which has stuck around for some reason. In many schools, sixth formers are given a lot more freedom than the other students, often being allowed to wear their own clothes instead of school uniform. Cool.
Sixth form. I heard her say words, but I have no idea what she said. An education system, blah, blah, blah. Sixth form represents the final 2 years of secondary education, ages 16 to 18. Okay, I'm still confused. I guess it's like in America, the 11th and 12th grade, and you get privileges. When I was in high school in 11th and 12th grade, we got to leave school for lunch, which was awesome.
University. You apply to do a single subject at British universities and only study that one thing. No maths or language requirements or any of that other stuff that you have to do at American colleges.
What? That's not fair. When I went to college, the first 2 years were all liberal arts stuff. Math and English and science and all like normal. It's like an extension of high school. And then the last 2 years of college, you narrow down your focus into your major. 3 years for a bachelor's degree. Wow, here it's usually 4.
Are there any things about British schools that you have questions about? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos. Also, if you have any other questions about British culture, you can tweet us at Anglophenia, and maybe your topic will be covered in another video.
Maybe. I'm more confused than I was before I saw this. This is kind of useless information. I don't need to know this. So I don't know why I'm hurting my brain about it. It's all very confusing. It's like close enough to the American way that it's hard to separate the two in my mind, but different enough that it's confusing. Let's say I grew up in America, which I did, and I graduate high school at age 18, and then I moved to the UK. What would I need to do? Or what if I grew up in America until like age 14 and then I moved to the UK? What happens then? This person says that transferring at that stage of secondary education would be a major upheaval. Keep in mind for your 16-year-old that residency for 3 years is required to pay home tuition fees and not the international fees. There's international fees. Yeah, what a mess transferring between the two. I like how students in the UK are relieved of having to learn stuff that's not really useful to them earlier. I like that. That makes sense. One day I'm hoping for some kind of electronic gadget like in that movie Men in Black where you just zap someone in the eyes and suddenly they know stuff. Or in that movie they forget stuff. But I would imagine that you zap someone in the eyes and suddenly you know everything about public administration or, sewer systems. And then we won't need school. Let's get to work on that. Ben Face probably has the technology. This was a confusing video. Well, thank you all for watching this confusing video with me, and I'll see y'all next time. Later.